Hey guys, this is Jay Calder with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Yes, really, that fight is happening. And as always, this is just my take. Your predictions can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. This is a very fascinating, perhaps gimmicky fight, but nonetheless a fascinating one. One that sold out within an hour, so it was certainly a big occasion. Would love to hear all your thoughts on this one down in the comments section below. A bit of fight info here. We have Eubank versus Benn, as mentioned, taking place at the O2 Arena in London, England, airing on DAZN pay-per-view across the pond and just on regular DAZN here in the States. Haha. And it will be taking place at a 156-pound catchweight, technically in the middleweight division, of course, because the two are coming down from middleweight in the case of Eubank and up from welterweight in the case of Benn. Well, what a fun, interesting, weird ass fight. I mean, let's be honest here. That being said, boxing is usually 20% weird no matter what, so this is about par for the course. A fight many would have loved to see due to their sort of rivalry between the fathers and the family in general, but the size differential seemed to rule it out, at least in the moment. But promoter Eddie Hearn said, to hell with size, let's make it happen. And so, while maybe gimmicky, as I've mentioned, and really for no real reason it's taking place, it did sell out the O2, as I mentioned, in just over 45 minutes, so yeah, gimmick did seem to work, and it's an intriguing fight. Again, they are fairly skilled guys. They do crack a bit. They seem to have the spite that their fathers once did, so will it be competitive? That's tough to say, but intriguing it certainly is, so let's try to break this intriguing one down and find out who wins. Starting with Eubank. For Eubank to win, I think you want to mix up the left-hand lead. You can jab pretty well, especially when he throws it with a little more conviction or authority. He doesn't always throw it. It's not very busy, but when he does, he can do it pretty well. He can also turn it into a quick left hook, and I think both of those strategies can work well for him in this particular encounter. Mixing these two things up will also give Benn different looks that could be used to kind of score and surprise him as well. So if he can jab, get that going a little bit, at least enough to kind of somewhat camouflage that left hook, I think it'll be all the better for him and give him his best chance for success on the night. I would also say make your size matter. Don't try to just box and move and make it a boxing encounter or boxing match. That's really going to be just kind of defeating the point. Benn is faster, and it gives him more of a chance in that kind of more evenly contested set of circumstances. Instead, throw those bigger shots. Push him back, lean on him on the inside, get in there and kind of make it a little rougher at times. Manhandle him if you can. The reason you're probably favored to win, not probably, you are favored to win this fight is because, in part, you're a bigger fighter that's been in bigger fights. Make it matter. Show that experience as well as that size and really kind of boss him in there to kind of give him the impression that he doesn't belong with you. You can do that, and you're going to have some doorways to success opened up for you in this encounter. I would also say line up the right hand. Use that left hand to line it up. That's pretty simple. That right hand of yours is pretty good, and if you can use that left hand, it's going to work really well, especially the hook version of that left hand. You're going to be using it if you follow these keys to begin with, and I think it really lands and lines up, rather, that right hand of yours, which is a good one. Feint, make him commit with some speed and line him up when he likes to step in with his guard a bit lower, which he does at times. Just don't square yourself up too much. Again, there's no reason to give him any particular chance that he doesn't deserve here, especially because you are having to make something of a cut. There's really not a reason to do anything where you're going to be taking shots square when you might potentially be weaker than normal. So just make sure that you're trying to give him at least some angles while you do it, but the right hand is certainly a money shot for you in this fight. Now, for Benn to win, I think you want to go with speed first, then power. You want to use your advantages. Don't try to trade with the bigger man. Don't make this a battle of who can punch harder, because even a pound for pound you can, that's just not going to play that well into your hands. Instead, speed will. Eubank is fairly fast as well, but you, probably being the smaller guy, will simply have a better handle on your speed. So let your speed be that power for you. Let yourself land something a few times that kind of gets home, and then you can open up some of those bigger shots. Those bigger, more meaningful shots will probably catch him off guard later on, especially if you're putting more force into them after kind of just scoring with those faster shots initially. But speed versus power, kind of let it happen as the fight unfolds. I would also say attack the body. You're the shorter guy. You want to be inside to some degree. You might not want to linger there all the time because you're the smaller guy as well, but while there, cut him down to size. He's got a nice long torso. You throw to the body pretty well. You do have some power, and it's a place you can commit a bit more to, so it's certainly something you want to do. You score while being in range and not have to be on the end of his perhaps longer, maybe heavier shots, if not harder. And you can attack the body pretty well. You take some of the power from the bigger man and again open up some shots upstairs. And this could also drain him from the cut, maybe make him hunch over a bit more, bring him down to size. It's going to have a lot of benefits if you can get a steady body attack going. And finally, keep your head moving. Good head movement. You have decent head movement. Keep that in general going because as the competition gets better, head movement is key, and this fight is no different. Also, Eubank has faded a bit before in recent fights, so speed that process up. Missing eats up more energy, makes you think more, makes you second guess more, and all of this can fatigue a fighter. It also lets you get going more while he misses, and you can hopefully get some counters going as you're opening him up by making him a bit more awkward and throwing him off balance by having to try and hit that moving target. Staying stationary, again, feeds into a bigger man's fight, and there's really no need for you to do that here. Now, in terms of my pick here, while Ben is a live enough dog in this one for sure, I'm rolling with Eubank in this one. Ben is an interesting pick, and if they were the same size legitimately, maybe I lean towards Ben. He's on fire right now, more fundamentally sound, I would say, and just more active. I think he's probably the more polished fighter, even though maybe he's a bit less experienced in some ways. He just comes across that way. However, size does matter. Weight classes exist for a reason. And I think Ben competes, makes it competitive, but Eubanks has a very solid chin, can crack a bit himself, and I think that lead left hand will trouble Ben as he tries to come inside and sets up some of the heavier work later on. Eventually, Ben will be tagged a bit too much and lined up for the right hand, which will finish the fight. Chris Eubank via late fight stoppage. Now, the betting odds for this fight have Eubank coming in at a 2-1 favorite at a minus 210, with Ben coming in at a plus 160. Not terrible odds either way, to be fair. Again, the weight cut makes it a bit nervous for Eubank just because you never know how the body will respond to one. But that being said, 2-1 are not terrible odds for a fight when you have the bigger, heavier guy getting pretty decent odds that way. If you're a Ben supporter or you just hate Eubank, and there's a lot of people that are one or both of those things, Ben or not, he doesn't have terrible odds here either. Not a great return, but again, that's probably because he is a live dog in this encounter. Something like a mid to small bet there is not terrible. I think it's pretty decent odds, again, if you do believe him to be the winner of this fight. I think it could be tough, but again, you never know, especially with that weight cut. And again, Ben's a decent fighter to begin with. In terms of the over-under, haven't had any odds for that just yet. I'd be willing to bet most are probably predicting this goes the distance, or at least late into the fight, maybe 8 to 10, somewhere in that range. Hard to say with the odds, but in any event, those are the odds I have found for you there. And my prediction record as of September 30th is 29-10 and 1 with 10 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Does Ben have a real shot? Is he a real live dog in this fight? Do you think it's too much of a mismatch or gimmick? Love to hear all your thoughts on that, as well as your predictions, bets, so on and so forth. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. You can email me at junboxing@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out junboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more. And as always, until next time.